Good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss about development, underdevelopment of economic growth and development. This is first unit we are going to discuss now. In this unit, concept of economic growth, the difference between economic growth and development, the concept of deprivation we are going to discuss. Here, as we know that when we observe since the end of the Second World War, governments like America, Latin America, Middle East countries, Asia, European countries, they have become increasingly their development in a minded set. So majority of these countries, they formulation based on their plans of economic development. So when we talk about the concept that is economic growth, in recent literature, the term economic growth, it refers to a sustained annual increasing in the economic real national income, continuously increasing the income of a nation over a period of long time. That we call it as economic growth. In other words, we can say economic growth means rising the trends of national or net national product at constant prices. We call it as economic growth. There are, you know, according to the economic growth, the annual increasing a real per capita income of a country over a period of time, generally a long period of time, that related to economic growth. So Arthur Lewis, he says that economic growth means the growth of output per head of a population is called as economic growth. Here, the most of the countries' economic growth is measured both in terms of increase in overall gross domestic product and increase in per capita of income of a country. According to Todaro, economic growth is a steady process by which is the productive capacity of the economy that increased over a period of time, and that increasingly the level of national income, level of output of a country. Coming to the economic development, it is very difficult to give a precise meaning of development or economic development. This economic development arises because of different criteria which are used in distinguished the developed from the underdeveloped countries. Here, according to Kuznets, the main representation of this approach to the economic development, on the other hand, Lebesgue and the other economists like Arthur Lewis, Benjamin Higgins, Weiner, they opined that increase in per capita income must be appropriate index in economic development. So the most of the definitions of economic development generally concentrate either The concept, which is, as I said, increasing the national product or increasing the real per capita of income, increasing the real per capita of income. So there are various definitions, as I said. UNO also has given definition. The development is not only the related to the material needs, but it is also concerned with the improvement in social conditions of his life. So the development must be therefore convenienced as multi-dimensional process that may be changes in social structures, popular attitudes, national institutions, as well as acceleration of economic growth, acceleration of the economic growth. That reduction in income inequalities, eradication of poverty, so that is related to economic development. Recently, the concept of economic development has has been further widened so that it is now involved in the reduction in the poverty, inequality, unemployment, but also it requires improvement in the quality of life. That is more important, which includes cleaner the environment, better education, good health and nutrition. So today economic development is interpreted not only the more growth in economic well of their human choices. That is more important. So the concept of development, which includes achievement of freedom from the services to ignorance and illiteracy. It also includes the enjoyment of the human rights that is related to economic development. When we talk about the differentiation between economic growth and development, generally there are differences are there. The term economic development and economic growth, they use the same sense, but economists, particularly Schumpeter, Alfred Bonnet, they have tried to distinguish these two. Economic growth is supposed to be natural or national process that requiring no special effort to the a part of the community. Economic development structural changes we overcome a disease of the concept of economic growth propounded by Simon Kuznets, a wider concept which includes structural institutional changes, structural as well as institutional changes. However, many economists they have viewed that the growth is related to the increase in output mentioned in the the wider concept that economic growth that excluded the welfare aspects in the economic growth. So here the economic growth, a sustained rise in or increase, continuous increase in output, both national as well as per capita of income of the people over a period of time. Generally, long period. Development.
करीन भाजी पोळी यांनी हाकी ठरलीस
డిస్టర్బెన్స్ వస్తుంది మ్యూట్లో పెట్టుకోండి జరా సో when we differentiate between economic growth and economic development, we can easily find out, we can easily understand economic growth. Economic growth is related to the continuous increase or rise in the output, both national as well as per capita of income. But economic development that relates to economic growth, structural changes, institutional and organizational adjustment, a rise in the public welfare, sustaining and enhancing the economic freedom. That is related to economic development. See, when we differentiate between these two, economic growth and development, related to economic growth, it is the scope of economic growth is narrow because it is concentrating only areas. The scope of the development is wider or broad because it comprehensive. It's not only increase income of the country or per capita of the income, but also well-being of the society, that is more important because this economic development is related to underdeveloped countries or developing countries, whereas economic growth related to developed countries. They have already developed. There is no structural, no need to changes the structural changes country. So this is one difference. The another differentiation, a quantitative, a quantitative increase in total income, employment, our qualitative as well as technology has to improve economic development. Growth is due to increase in the output, where development is rise both productive as who has to increase in the development process. Maybe may not be social changes in a cause of it is only concentrated or consider the changes of level of growth is related to only a particular point. You have to increase, sustain, increasing, rise
Bah. Lagi. Oh ya? Oi. High class.
national income. At the same time, social changes, but cultural changes, technological change. So that is the reason why where we are talking about.
घंटा था मैं जड़ के तौर जड़ बंदे सर
When we talk about the Indian economy, characteristics of the Indian economy, this This is very important for your examination point of also. Features we are having. Generally, when we observe, in India, national income and per capita income is very low because, as we know that it is considered as the basic future of underdeveloped country. Population is more. That is the main reason. Excessive dependency on culture. So generally, when we talk agriculture sector, most of the people are engaged in agriculture sector. This is what, and this is what I think. One of the another important rate of population growth. You know, in India, maintaining a very high rate of observing our population is increasing. We are rates, is in the medical facility. Population is rate is decline. This is one characteristic of the Indian agriculture. Or Indian agriculture. The another feature is that low capital formation. We are talking about basic features of or characteristics of Indian economy. So here the low rate of capital formation, we can low level of savings, as we know that our income levels are very low. Automatically, savings also very low. That results, what will happen? That leads, that is also one of the characteristic. Technological, another characteristic is that backwardness. The economy of our country is, suffering from the technological backwardness. Characteristic. మా ఎవరు మాట్లాడేది అప్పటి నుంచి చెప్తానే ఉన్నా మీరు అలానే చేస్తే ఎలా చెప్పండి ఇక్కడ నాది ఇక్కడ ఇది right. So here we are talking about the characteristics of Indian economy or features of Indian economy. As I said, first one, low per capita of income, excessive dependency of agriculture. Most of the people in India are engaged in the agriculture sector. We can easily identify. According to 2011, nearly 50% of the labor labor force which are engaged in agriculture sector. So this is one of the characteristics. And also high rate of increase in the medical facilities, betterment of health. What happened? Population is increasing, death rates are decreasing. Birth rates are increasing, death rates are decreasing. So automatically there is a high growth rate of population in India. Nearly, 1950s onwards, population of India is increasing steadily. Characteristics of Indian economy is the low level of income that results low level of saving. If your income is very less, savings also less. When the savings are less, capital formation is also very less. So Indian economy, low level of capital formation we can identify. Technological backwardness. Still we are using, traditional methods. The in our country they are suffering from the technological backwardness. They are not using up to the mark or no advanced technologies are they are not using. This is also one of the reason. Another characteristic is that inadequacy of infrastructure facilities. Inadequacy of infrastructure facilities. There are different sectors are there, agriculture sector, industrial sector. These sectors could not make, headway of absence of inadequacy or adequate infrastructure. Facilities are not provided in a proper manner. It may be, transportation, it may be power generation, banking services, economic organization, education, and health. These facilities are, inadequate. We can say that. This is also one of the characteristics of Indian economy or features of Indian economy. The another one is poor quality of human capital. Poor quality of human capital. Literacy rate, when we observe, which is one of the indicators to measure the socio-economic progress. So the national literacy rate according to 2011 census, it was only around 74.04%. The remaining portion, almost 25% of the that comes under the illiterate. So poor quality of human capital, we can say. So under the utilization of natural resources, low technology, steadily improving the rate of capital formation, inequalities are increasing in the distribution of income as well as wealth. Economic dualism, low level of infrastructure facilities, market imperfect, traditional setup of the society, low standard of living, poor quality of, as I said, human capital, which all are the basic characteristics or basic features of Indian economy. తర్వాత క్లాస్ జరుగుతుంది కొద్దిసేపు పెట్టండి కాల్ చేసి So these are the basic characteristics: low per capita income, excessive dependency on agriculture, high rate of population growth, low rate of capital formation, technological backwardness, inadequacy of infrastructure facilities. These are the basic characteristics. But when we observe, uh, growth rates of different periods, when we observe it, 1950 to 1960, the growth rate was 3.68. 2010 and 11 to 2018 and 19, it was increased 6.84%. There are various sectors when we observe the trend: agriculture sector, industrial sector, and service sector. 1950s, the share of the main sectors to the GDP, it was 57% to 15%, drastically increased from the agriculture sector. Even though more people are engaged in agriculture sector, service sector is the 1950s, it was contributing only 25%. Later it increased to 53% of the share in the you know GDP. There are various structural changes are there. Growth and occupational structure of the population. India, as I said, demographic dividend has been rapidly highlighted by the experts, international organizations. According to we can observe, as I said, world population today, it is increasing, rapidly increasing. Demographic features, when we are talking about India, there density of population, sex ratio, rural urban composition, age structure, life expectancy in India, literacy rates. These are comes under the demographic features of India. The density of population, what does it mean? The number of people living in a square kilometer of area. We call it as density of population. In India, the density of population was very low, 77%, 77% per square kilometer in 1991. That increased into 107 in 1951. Later it increased again in 2011.